What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, your man's too freaking off without you. Back at it with another review, and yesterday I was able to check out Venom: The Last Dance in theaters. But before we get sexual, beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, which is number one. It's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm recommended to more people. Maybe they could join that. Yeah. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Venom: The Last Dance down below. And also, this is a spoiler-free review. We'll be doing a spoiler review tomorrow, so stay tuned for that if you're wanting spoilers. But with that being said, guys, let's get right into it. And before we get right into it, let's give a quick plot synopsis of the movie, shall we? So, transition and choose.
Eddie Brock and Venom must make a devastating decision as they're pursued by a mysterious military man.
Alright, so going into Venom: The Last Dance, while I'm in the minority, I would say, I like the first two Venom movies. Originally, I thought the first Venom was okay, because the one thing I hated about that movie was the villain. I thought he was bland. But anyways, over time I've started to like it, and I do really like Venom: Let There Be Carnage, while still not being perfect. And then all the rest of the Sonyverse projects, Morbius, I actually thought was okay. It's not... Is it a good movie? No. It is far from it. Madam Web was bad. That was the first one in the Sonyverse where I was going like, yeah, I understand where everyone's coming from now. So going into this one being with the title, because this came out, I think the actual title came out a few months ago, or earlier this year, when that would be titled Venom: The Last Dance, which that means, and I was going, oh, so this is gonna be the final movie in the Venom trilogy, so that caught my attention. And from the trailers, it looked like it had the most stakes out of the three movies. And so, with that being said, let's just go into the actual review itself, shall we? And starting off with the good here, I have the beginning. I won't elaborate too much because it's spoilers. But, oh wait, also there... So, how do I say it? So, basically... The opening, I'll say it without any spoilers. I'm not spoiling it here, but basically what it does is it lets you know what's going on in the story, basically. And I thought that was really interesting with what they did there. So, yeah, and I thought it kind of got me hooked for it. So, yeah, there's that. Another good, probably the biggest positive of the movie is, I think, the ending. I think the ending really closes off the Venom trilogy perfectly, it almost brought a tear to my eye because how beautifully done it was. So even though these movies aren't the greatest, it still closed the whole entire story very well, I think. Another good, the action sequences, and you've seen most of them
In the trailers, and all of them are choreographed pretty well, especially the opening and the final act. And also, I think it's the best
action out of the three movies. I think I would say maybe, especially I think the final act definitely puts it up there, which that's another positive. The final fight, I think, is really, really cool. While still being a little tiny bit long, but it's still really cool, with all the stuff they do with it, so that's where I'll leave that. Another positive, as I said before, this movie has high stakes. In this one, you're on the edge of your seat wondering what's gonna happen to these characters, Eddie and Venom, so... in their third and final movie, and you're going, oh wait, what's gonna happen to them? So it puts you really on the edge of your seat, especially if you love these movies. If you don't love these movies, then, or like these movies at least, probably it wouldn't put you on the edge of your seat, but definitely this one does if you do like or love these movies. I think Also, another positive, probably one of the biggest good things about this movie is the development with Venom and Eddie's relationship, because they have been together for 3 movies now, and this is the closest they ever have been, and you really care about them making it out. So, yeah, they did a good job with that. Also, should I say that? I don't know. Yeah, because it's in the trailers. The more symbiotes, I think, all the different types of symbiotes that we get in here are really, really cool. Especially those things that we saw in the trailers called the I think they're called like something, not xenomorphs like the Alien movies, but they call them something like that. So, and those things were unstoppable in the movie, and they were really cool. So, and they really do, with those creatures, push the PG-13 rating with some of the kills that they have in here, which I was shocked by how gruesome they were, and they were pretty cool. So, yeah, there's that. What else do we got here? Okay, so I'll say this. I didn't enjoy most of the acting in here besides 2 performances. And one is Chitwell Ejiofor's performance in this as the kind of generic military guy, but he still acts quite good in it, and everyone was speculating originally that, oh, maybe he's a multiverse version of Mordo. That isn't the case here. But overall, I think he's the one out of everyone that is trying the most, I think. Another good is positive for all the Venom movies, and that, of course, is the
Awareness. It knows it's dumb, it knows it's silly, but it still goes with it anyways, and is just there to entertain you most of the time, which it does that.
Final thing I got in here is the soundtrack. The soundtrack in here as well is quite good. Bringing a lot more modern songs into the mix, and bringing older songs into here too as well, but adding their unique spin on it, where it was kind of a remake of that song, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. But, yeah, that's my final good. Now let's move on to the mixed aspects. And I only have 2. Number 1 is the comedy. I think this one might be, because this one's the more serious out of the 3 movies, with the comedy between Venom and Eddie. The comedy, it does hit some certain times, but then there's some certain times where I didn't think the movie it fit. So there's that. Also, Tom Hardy's performance. There's some moments in here where I think he genuinely does great as a send-off to his character of Eddie Brock. But also in here, it feels as if there's some moments, like little tiny moments, where he seems kind of like he's phoning it in, maybe. While also doing the unique thing he does throughout all 3 of these movies, where he acts drunk all the time. So, yeah, there's that. Now let's move on to the bad. And unfortunately, I gotta go Noel's development. And from the trailers, they were making it seem
like he was a big threat. To be fair, he is a big threat. However, he was not in the movie much at all, so we should have got more of him.
You don't get to see him much in this movie, unfortunately. You only see him spare amounts, so... And I thought they could have done a little bit better on that, because the certain sequences they do give him throughout this movie, I think they did a good job on, and I wanted them to keep on going with that, but they unfortunately didn't end up doing that. So there's that. Unfortunately, for another bad, I gotta go end credits. This might be a minor negative, because overall, I'll say this, I was very underwhelmed by the credits. I was expecting something big, and they didn't quite go that direction, unfortunately. And I thought the second one, I honestly just didn't know why, but first one, it does set up something big, but it's just, why, so there's that. Another bad, which this happens during most of the movies, the dialogue. The dialogue isn't the greatest. Like, it's very cheesy, and it's very aware that the dialogue is very cheesy. So there's some points there to the dialogue. But this time they decide to add a bunch of exposition dumps with the dialogue, where they're trying to explain stuff with Noel in here and all the other symbiotes, and going, just giving you full-on explanations, and it's just, we're in a Venom movie, guys. Can we just go back to the cheesy action with the other dialogue, please? That's cheesy fun where they realize it, but this time they don't do that. The script and cohesion, yeah, the script in here is not not that good, where this one is yet another comic book movie that has a bunch of different storylines going on at the same exact time, and unfortunately most of them don't really connect, so there's that. Also, the movie jumps back and forth from being, as I said before, very serious, and then going extremely goofy. As for the first two Venom movies, the first Venom, I would say, is mostly dark, but has some comedic elements to it. Second one is full-blown comedic timing. This one, they go immediately from dark to comedic, and it felt a little jumbled there. I think that we only got 2 more, right? I'm trying to read it. The use of toxin is another bad one. I'll elaborate more in the spoiler review tomorrow, but overall I thought he was very wasted potential. And that's not a spoiler that he's in the movie, because he's in the trailers and they literally set it up in Venom Let There Be Carnage. So that's obvious he's in there. So, unfortunately, yeah, I didn't like the way they used him. I didn't like the way they used him more than Noel, because Noel, at least they developed him some, but they didn't develop him a lot. This time, they didn't really develop Toxin that much, unfortunately. The final bad in here I have is Juno Temple. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that. As Dr. Payne in here. I didn't like her character, and I overall thought no offense to the actress, I think the acting wasn't the best. So there's that. Yeah, the character was also very underwhelming. But with that being said, guys, let's just bring out the toxic meter. And I will give Venom The Last Dance a B-, a toxic goodness. And if you guys like or love the Venom movies, I would say be sure to check it out in theaters. However, if you guys don't like the Venom movies or think they're okay, for the people that think it's okay, probably stream it. And then for the people that just don't like the Venom movies, I would probably say skip this one, I guess. Or watch it on streaming like the other people too as well. But with that being said, guys, that's just my thoughts on Venom The Last Dance. I think overall, no, I'm not going to say anything, because I'm going to let, even though I saw it yesterday, I'm going to kind of let my thoughts simmer in, because I'm going to do a Venom ranking on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. So, yeah, with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace.